Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Waiting for you guys to come in. Hello. Good evening. Wait for a few more people to come in and then I'll start. So today I'm going to be talking about the relationship between the MTA, the relationship between TW Local 100, the MTA, and arbitration hearings. So as you guys all know, we at New York City Transit, as New York City Transit employees, are often, put up for discipline and going into arbitration hearings. I think this is very important for you guys to understand how things work when it comes to arbitration. How are arbitrators picked? Hi, Tanya. How arbitrators are picked. The relationship between the arbitrator with TW Local 100 and the MTA, and how we can start to demand that the process of how arbitrators are being selected and conducting hearings, we have a say in that, right? Because we pay dues. We are the ones who are subject to these arbitrators, and I just want to get into it. So, hey, Ogie, good afternoon. So, listen, an MTA Bus, they have an arbitrator named Howard Edelman, right? So, before I go into that, let me just talk about the relationship of how arbitrators are picked. Okay, so how arbitrators are picked. Arbitrators are picked, when an arbitrator is picked, it's between TW Local 100 and the MTA. So the MTA just can't pick an arbitrator and say, this is who we want, and then TW Local 100 just has to go along with it, and vice versa, right? They both have to mutually agree on the arbitrator, right? They both pay the salary of the arbitrator, right? So this is how arbitrators are picked. However, we know that in TW Local 100, our union is not on top of grievance and discipline. They're not managing hearings well. And one of the things, another thing when it comes to this whole issue of arbitration is that right now we're in the midst of COVID. The hearings are only happening in each department. Each department is on the calendar once a month, right, for hearings. Meaning that if you are put out from work, or you are PDS, meaning your pass has been taken away from you, you're out of work, your chance of being on the calendar is only once a month, and it has to happen in order. So it goes according to who went out first, right? The arbitrator only has the ability to hear 2 cases per day. 2 cases per day. So if you're on the calendar for that day and you're like number 5, that means that your case is not going to be heard. Whoever is number 1 and number 2, those are the people who more likely than not cases are going to be heard, unless something happens and number 1 doesn't get heard, so then it goes on to 2 and 3, right? Other than that, just keep in mind that only 2 cases are being heard per arbitrator daily. Now, in MTA Bus, they have 1 arbitrator, where throughout the rest of the local, we have the rotation of 5 arbitrators, right? And so why is this important? Because right now we have a lot of people out who are out due to pre-disciplinary suspension. So they are out waiting for their day to go to arbitration, to have their day before the arbitrator, to be restored to work and everything else, right? And the fact that currently, as the numbers of COVID are going down, nobody is meeting in person at 2 Broadway. Why is it that the calendar cannot be restored to full capacity and service as it has been before the pandemic with everybody working remotely. So nobody is subject to contracting COVID because they're not having these arbitration hearings in person. They're happening via Zoom. So why is it that they cannot return to full service of doing hearings when everybody is still working? They just have a limited calendar, right? This affects us as employees, and TW Local 100 should be demanding that this schedule be fixed and that everybody is back doing hearings at full capacity, right? And so that's the relationship with that. Now, the reason why I want to talk about the relationship between the arbitrator, TW Local 100, and the MTA is because we have now an MTA bus. We know for sure that Howard Edelman is being used to knock off the members who are in MTA Bus. He is the lone arbitrator in MTA Bus, and he has fired, right? He has issued termination awards on behalf of so many people that TW Local 100 should have moved a long time ago to stop using Howard Edelman. Right? He's been with them so long that they have a relationship now, right? So Howard Edelman is the lone arbitrator in MTA Bus. I have in my possession about 7 arbitration awards that were sent to me from bus drivers who were terminated under Howard Edelman, accusing the local of not submitting the evidence that was given to them, not having full hearings. As you know, we have a gentleman named Desmond St. Louis currently with fighting his case. He was fired from terminated under Howard Edelman as well. He was not given a fair hearing and everything else. And we know because the union filed papers, issued a motion to dismiss Mr. Desmond St. Louis' case. Right? His own local, who he paid dues to, filed a motion to have his Article 78 dismissed, citing that if this case was to go forward, it would basically cause some type of injury to Local 100, which is not true, right? And so I'm talking about this because we need to understand that when I talk about grievance and discipline being the top issue in Local 100, when it comes to members being able to keep their jobs and how we need to deal with this and approach it, I am very serious, okay? This gentleman, this arbitrator, Howard Edelman, that relationship between TW Local 100 and the MTA is compromised. And the members, you pay dues. You have the right to demand that this arbitrator be let go. That on our end, that TW Local 100 no longer pays an arbitrator that is unjustly firing our members, right? Not based off of evidence or fact or things that are presented that they've done, but off of hearsay. A lot of times we have a gentleman right now who's been terminated. His arbitration case was merely hearsay. There's no documentation in writing from him or anything stating or any type of G2 or anything in regards to his case, and he was terminated based off of hearsay. No facts, no evidence. And on the TW Local 100 side, not presenting the evidence that the member has given them to take into arbitration. When you go before an arbitrator, it's like you're going to court, right? It's like you're going to Supreme Court before a judge for your case to be heard. That's what it is. Whatever this arbitrator decides is your fate. You know, unfortunately, you don't even have a jury of your peers. You just have the decision of this arbitrator, who is supposed to deal with the facts, right? He's supposed to look at the rule violations. He's supposed to look at the collective bargaining agreement as it deals with progressive discipline, right? Not just coming up with these decisions to terminate because you've gone to arbitration and because they can. Howard Edelman needs to be removed, right? And this should have been called for a long time ago. I'm telling you right now, I have 7 cases in my email of members who have contacted me who were terminated under Howard Edelman, asking for an investigation to be done into his practices. And the chairs and the VPs who were in office during that time, right? Peter Rasconi is the VP of MTA, is the vice president of MTA Bus. He knows exactly what it is that I'm talking about, okay? And to the members of MTA Bus, you know exactly what it is that I'm talking about because many of your friends and coworkers, many of our colleagues have been terminated under Howard Edelman, right? And it's time that we do something about it, right? Local 100 brought in $33 million in dues during the pandemic from us, right? We are paying them to basically undo us. We have to begin to hold the union accountable, and the members have the ability to do that. So we're going to start working on MTA Bus, and you guys paying attention to what it is that Peter Rasconi is going to do on your behalf to remove Howard Edelman and to call on Tony Atano, Dennis Engel, who is in charge of the chief counsel of Local 100, along with Arthur Swartz, to remove Howard Edelman. We no longer want our dues money being paid, to pay Howard Edelman to wrongfully terminate our employees, right? So we all have to be on the same page on this. I want you guys to ask about the information that I'm giving you, right? Don't just take my word for it. Ask about how is the relationship between the arbitrator and how is the arbitrator picked between Local 100 and the MTA. I call this, we're looking at this as collusion because we know that being a part of a union is highly political. And when it comes around to campaign time, right, the people who challenge the incumbents are often targeted for grievance and discipline. And these are the ways that they use to knock people off, right? They don't care. If they could get rid of you, they will, right? So I just want you guys to understand that we are in serious times in Local 100. And that being an employee of Local 100 is not something that when you got hired to be an employee of the MTA, right? And you sit down and they tell you all of the things that you're going to get, right? Your vacation time, your health care, your pension plan, all of the things that you're sitting down and you're looking at when they're going over with you what it is that are going to be your benefits package by becoming an employee of the MTA and beginning your career here. I want you guys to understand very clearly that everything that you have is because somebody fought for it. Michael Quill, who is the founder of Local 100, they fought for everything that we have in our contract, right? Even though over the years things have been given back and our contract has become very, very weak, right? I want you guys to understand this, that when you're being hired here, especially for Tier 6, anybody that's watching this video that has been here for maybe 1 to 2 years, this may be your first year, your first 6 months, your first month on the job, and you're hearing this video, I want you to understand why it's important for you to protect your union and to be involved and to understand the history of the labor movement. I'm going to be giving you guys more history of the labor movement because you have to begin to be inspired and engaged, so that you can participate, right? The only way I'm going to be elected president, The only way you're going to have any change is if you begin to understand why we're fighting, right? And the relationship that the collective bargaining agreement that you are currently under, you're under that because somebody fought for it, right? In MTA Bus, Donna Jones was on strikes, her and a few other people. We were having a discussion the other day. I think they were telling me they were on a strike like 8 times within their career over in MTA Bus, right? That they were constantly going on strike and having to go out on strike and fight for the things that we have now, that many people take for granted and think that it's just going to be there. Oh, no, it's not. If you see what's going on right now, the writing is on the wall, right? I'm going to do another video tomorrow talking about what's going on over in TA Surface. Not only in TA Surface, but in buses across the board when it comes to this COVID cleaning, broadbanding of jobs and everything else, and how dangerous of a territory that we're walking into by these things happening. So I just want you to understand that everything that you have in your contract, when you go on vacation for 5 weeks, right, you're going on vacation because that was collectively bargained for, right? When you're doing overtime, your overtime scale and the way it's set up is because that was collectively bargained for. Nothing that you have is because the MTA thought, it would be nice to give you overtime. You deserve 5 weeks vacation. You deserve adequate health care. You deserve to be middle class earners. None of this has happened because the MTA thought it would be a good idea and this was fair to give to you, right? We know this because we constantly go through contract negotiations where our union is not even asking for wage increases, right? Let's tell the truth. They're not even asking for wage increases. They're taking whatever it is that the MTA puts in front of them. Then now they've gotten so brazen with their violations against us because we are so inactive that they're showing up to ratifications with no contract to give to the membership. Nothing for us to walk away with to say that we saw it, we read it, and we agreed to it. So we're in very, very dangerous territory right now, and I need you guys to understand where we are, right? And so I want you guys to also understand that in MTA Bus, you only have one arbitrator. Throughout the rest of the system, we have 5 arbitrators on rotation. So the likelihood of me getting the same arbitrator if I go back for another hearing is highly unlikely that I'll be going before the same person over and over again. However, in MTA Bus, Howard Edelman has done such a great job destabilizing that department in MTA Bus that they have rewarded him by making him the sole arbitrator because he gets the job done. Okay? And the MTA and TWULOCAL100, I am calling it collusion. Everybody is satisfied on both sides. The MTA is getting what they want. TWULOCAL100 is getting what they want, right? Showing up to hearings, not prepared, not representing members adequately. All of this is an issue. So I want you guys to pay attention. I hope you're getting the message that when you go into a hearing for arbitration, right? Before you go to arbitration, you should have already met with your attorney. Your attorney should be prepping you on how you guys are going to go in and how are they going to represent you. You should not be, the first time you meet your lawyer before you go before the arbitrator should not be on the day that you're going into your arbitration hearing. You should have already met with them beforehand. You should have been prepped. They should be going over your DAN, the violation, and helping you to understand how are they going to go in before this arbitrator. What is the angle that they're going in? That's what you pay attorneys for, to represent you, right? This is not like when you go to court and you have a public defender. This is paid legal counsel. This is paid legal counsel who has been retained for the day on your behalf to represent you, and they should be prepared to go into a hearing with you. They're paid. This is not government assistance or anything like that. You paid your dues, go into paying the attorney. They need to show up, right? As it relates to PDS, if you were denied a PDS hearing on the first go round, right, the union can still challenge again to bring a pre-disciplinary hearing on your behalf to get you restored to the payroll, right? They can. So the fact that they are not does not mean that it cannot happen. Again, remember, this Jack Blazewicz, who is from MOW, has no legal background at all, is the person who is in charge of legal, in charge of grievance and discipline, and it is his job to file pre-disciplinary suspension, the paperwork for pre-disciplinary suspension, so that you can, the MTA can be challenged to put you back on the payroll, right? Currently, they are not using pre-disciplinary suspension the way they're supposed to. So you need to know these things. So if you find yourself being brought up on charges and they're asking for your pass and you're being taken off the payroll, you need to know that the union can immediately file paperwork via the pre-disciplinary suspension process in order to have you restored and put an argument and before when you go into your step 2 hearing to ensure that you are restored and to fight for it. Understand, the reason why a lot of people lose in the pre-disciplinary suspension process is because union reps go into hearings unprepared. They go in unprepared. They do not do their due diligence. And when they do not do their due diligence, you suffer. And many of you, under the sound of my voice, know that this is true because you've experienced it, right? I've experienced it. So we know that our union reps a lot of time do not do their due diligence. And as a result, we suffer for it. That's why I'm telling you, I am big on understanding that when we're coming into office, right, whoever's running for these positions of chair, vice chair, I hope you like to argue. I hope you like representing members, because that's basically what you're called to do, right? You have to be someone who does not mind opening up the rule book and becoming acquainted with it. You have to be someone who's going to take people's cases very, very seriously. If not, I don't want you. I don't need you. I don't need you, because I'm going to require of you to be prepared. Every member is valuable. Every member is important. Members are first. They pay their dues for representation. And if you said that you wanted to be the chair of the department or the vice chair of the department, you now have become a lawyer. Okay? You're going to have to argue on behalf of people. And if you don't want to argue on behalf of people, do not become a chair or vice chair. Do not. Find another area of the union to serve in, but that area of service is reserved for people who are going to fight. And this idea of telling members that, this is how management does it, right? And not adhering to the rules. Listen, whenever I have gone into hearings or went downtown to represent members, anything that I'm doing right now, not only at 2 Broadway, because I go into areas of buses and everywhere, right? MOW. Whenever I talk to people about their case, I want to see the paperwork in the document. I need to see the rules that we're going into and how we're going to go up against management. I need to understand, because this is how law works. It's all about the rules. It's all about what is in our contract. What have we collectively agreed upon? Not based off of feelings. Not the superintendent showing up talking about, well, I feel that the person did such and such. Excuse me, evidence, right? They have to produce something to say that you were guilty. If not, this cannot happen, right? And for so long, this is what we have been faced against, and I'm pushing back against it, right? And so I am definitely for the members. I will fight all the way. I believe when it comes to representation of our members that I don't care if you're guilty. I'm going to represent you anyway. That's what you paid for. And it's not for us to have these relationships with labor relations that are so close that you compromise the integrity and of the case of the member that you're representing. We have more power than we utilize, right? And when you have the right people in place, when you have people who care, right? When I'm talking about going into labor relations and fighting, remember that I am a member who is released at her tools, okay? I get written up too. I go through grievance and discipline as well. So my drive and my fuel that unites me is because I'm a member too. This is for us members, not just because I'm running to be president, but I'm running to become president because us, the members, we are the ones that are taking the blows. We're taking the hits. And we're taking the hits because we have people in place that just want to be union released, right? Understand, I want to hear from the other candidates when it comes to how they're setting up their slates. Because if you're running with Evangeline Byers, you can only run for one position. I don't care if the bylaws call that you can run for dual positions. You're not running for dual positions with me. If you're the chair of the department, you're going to be the chair. You will not be the chair and serve on the executive board. You will not be the chair and be a union delegate. You will not, right? You will not serve on the executive board and be union released. No, we're not doing that. Because if we do that, you might as well just go with the other people because it's going to be the same old, same old. There's no way to have a strong union without each branch of the local operating the way it's supposed to. The way it's supposed to function, not the way they wrote it in to make it stronger for themselves. Go look at the last election results and look at MAPSTOA. Look at TA Surface. Right? Look at how their whole slate and position is set up. People are holding 2 and 3 seats. You have no representation, right? And when they do that also because it keeps you inactive, the members. If you have everybody running for dual positions or triple positions, right? More than one position. If they're running for all of these positions, how many other members do we have that may want to be delegates or alternate delegates? Or serve on the executive board? Why is it only reserved to these few? Because it's about power and control and keeping us at a disadvantage. So I hope this video was informative. Again, if you have any issues with grievance and discipline, inbox me. We've been doing a good job in representing people and getting them representation, right? This week, Todd Brown, who came to me on the verge of being terminated, is now being restored to the payroll while he is still fighting for his job, right? So when people get involved and when we support one another, things happen. And you do not have to be from the same department to help each other, right? We're one local. If you are an RTO and your brother or sister needs help in MOW, step up to the plate. If you are in buses and your brother or sister needs help and you're from MOW, step up to the plate. My whole team, when we meet, we talk about everyone's issues. We're well versed with what's going on around the board. Nobody is sitting there talking about, oh, I'm from MAPSTOA. That don't have nothing to do with me. Oh, I'm from RTO. All I care about is RTO. RTO all day. No, because think about it. First, they came for stations. Just watch the succession of how the attacks come. First, they came for the stations department. Now they came for RTO. They're using deep grievance and discipline and the IG to dismantle the track department and then track inspectors and over there, right? And this is just going to continue to go on and on. In buses, You have grievance and discipline going on. So I'm telling you guys that we are one family. We are a collective. If you listen to Alexander Kemp's message yesterday, he talked about it, about buses, right? He's one person who's saying, no, I'm not cleaning this bus. What happened to the cleaner title? You need to talk to JP about that over MTA Surface, right? How is it that we are allowing broadbanding and all of these things to go on? For people who really understand the power of unions, you understand that when you start contracting out work, you start letting people cross into other people's work, you're crossing into dangerous territory, right? You're crossing into dangerous territory because the MTA is taking note of what it is that you are doing. So when you try to challenge them, they have a record that you agreed to these things, right? And what does this do to us, the members? It weakens our union. It dwindles our numbers to where we are not strong collectively to fight and forge ahead and protect our union. This is the year of a resurgence of union and labor power, right? Across the board. We lost 150, we have 156 people dead. No response from our union or challenge from our union or anybody on our behalf. We have grievance and discipline up. The excessive discipline in the midst of a pandemic when we're risking our lives. People, family members have died due to us coming to work sick and taking it home to our family. Men have lost their wives. Women have lost their husbands. Men and women have lost their mothers and fathers. It's not just 156 of our co-workers, not to mention our family members that succumbed to COVID due to us taking this home. We don't talk about it, but this is real issues right now, right? I know someone right now that this is the time when he lost his mother and father due to COVID last year. So this is the 1-year anniversary of the loss of his mother and father because he was exposed to COVID in work trains, contacted and told he was exposed that he needed to go out in quarantine, and it was too late. He had already infected his mother and father. And they now succumbed to COVID. Think about the trauma that came from that happening, right? There's another young lady, her mom died due to her, she know that she exposed her mother to COVID, right? And her mother died. So embarrassed by it, she don't even want to talk about it. She doesn't even speak on it. So we have a lot of things that have happened to us unjustly, right? We've been forced to work through a pandemic when we did not have to. The governor said that we didn't have to, that we were very fine people for showing up every day when we didn't have to show up, right? But our union said we had to show up. And we now know that our jobs would not have been lost due to the pandemic because look, the money came from the federal government now that you have Biden in office to fund the MTA until we get back to the levels that we were before and and ridership and everything picks up again, which is picking up now, right? So much so that the legislature made sure that that service cuts on the F line not take place. So there's so many things that have occurred throughout this last year that has, given me motivation and inspiration to fight and to push back against the MTA and TW Local 100 and call for anybody that is really serious about moving this union forward. We all understand, those of us who are the ones who are calling to be the next leaders of this union, we all know how this process works. All of us. Down to your favorite one that's running and all. All of us know how this process functions. We all know that if there emerges 3 and 4 slates, that Tony Atano gets back in. It's up to you to demand that they begin to have talks with me and the other candidates who are running for us to bring it all together. If they are not willing to do that, they are not really for you. They're for their own self-interest and their own egos and their own gut, because that has nothing to do about the preservation or the resurgence of fixing TW Local 100 and taking us into the future. It's going to be to our detriment. And the other side is united in the fact that they're going to hold on with everything they got, hoping that we are ignorant enough to be so hard-headed, or not even hard-headed, that's not a good word. So egotistical, because that's what it comes down to, the ego. The ego. Because it don't have nothing to do with us, the members. Has nothing to do with us, the members. And I know that I'm prepared for this. I read my contract. I study. I talk to union members. I talk to the retirees. I understand the history of our local. I understand grievance and discipline. I'm out meeting with members every day. I am very well versed on what's happening across the board. I'm not talking about just RTO. I bring you information about RTO, stations, CED, buses. We talk about it all, okay? And the reason why this is important is because if I don't understand and know from you, the members, what is happening in your department, how am I going to effectively lead you? How? I will not, because I won't know. It's not until I hear the stories from you directly, till I see the arbitration awards, till I hear that, you've been brought up on some trumped up charges, that you're working in unsafe conditions, unsanitary conditions, that you are being, when it comes to dealing with the crew office, all of the different issues that come along with that, scheduling, the fact that in the Department of Buses, the union reps are using overtime to manipulate and to control the workers, right? How will I know all of these things if I'm not out talking to you? If I'm not in your depot? If I'm not out talking to you about my resurgence plan for New York, for New York's MTA, New York City Transit employees? I cannot plan and put a plan in place and a strategy in place to take us into the future if I have not conversed with you or I'm not inviting you to come out. Every Saturday I have committed to meeting you at Sugar Hill to talk about how we're going to move this union forward, to hear from you, to plan with you, etc. Right? I am committed to this. This is not a game for me. This is about the next 20 years of my life as well. I see what the people who came in before me, who went through strikes and had to fight and push back, what they were able to retire with, that I will not be able to retire with because it's not a part of my benefits package now. The only way for that to happen is that there be a resurgence of the labor movement within TW Local 100, and we once again become a force in New York City and New York State when it comes to collective power and people power. We have over 46,000 members. We are the largest transport workers union in the United States. We decide who's going to be the international president. You're telling me that with all of this collective power that we have, we cannot once again win fair wages, health care, and everything that is slowly being undone on our behalf, that we can't get these things back? Our argument is just and in line with the times. We are working backwards. It's time for us to forge ahead. Okay? We have to forge ahead, and the only way we're going to do that is together. Everybody has to put their egos to the side. Whatever grievances you have with one another to the side. I myself have already had a conversation with Tremel Thompson discussing our differences. We have called the truce and put our differences to the side. Now, everybody else has to come in line as well. We put our differences to the side. I've been contacted by members consistently asking me, listen, I want you and Tramel to have a conversation. Will you talk to him? I picked up the phone and I made the phone call. Right? That's called humility. That's called looking at the bigger picture. That's called trying to get us back in line so that we can move this union forward. I have no problem talking to anyone, having meetings, working with anyone. I can sit down and talk to Paulie Navarro. I can sit down and talk to Mike Cordero. I can talk to anyone. But at the same time, as I'm running for president, I have to continue to put out there the issues and tell you guys what is true and what is false. And what it is that I'm going to be able to do. If you go and do a little research about me, ask people when I was at Medgar Evers College how I was. Oh, I didn't play. I'm much more polished than I was then. Okay? So much so that I got training from Harry Belafonte, heard about what was going on and invited me to the Gathering for Justice for training, to train me in labor and organizing. So I'm not a novice. I am not a novice. And understand something. When I have to deal with management and Sarah Feinberg and all of these other men and women who are down at 2 Broadway, they call me Miss Byers. They do not call me Evangeline. They understand that I am on the side of the people. I am the people. I'm on the side of us. If I show up to a table, I'm a member. I operate my train every day. I'm subject to the same things that you're subject to. And when I get off work, I'm hit the streets to campaign. I'm constantly taking phone calls. Listen, I'm in this for the long haul. I don't know if y'all get it or not, right? But I'm telling y'all, having me on your side, having me as your president, is you're going to immediately feel the effects once I'm elected. Because I understand how this process works. I understand how city government works. I have relationships with elected officials. I'm constantly talking to people behind the scenes, letting them know that I'm coming. I've been contacted by people, elected officials, saying we see that you may win. You know, we rooting for you. Because they know what that means. They know what that means. Right? You have to understand your voice and your power. The MTA is a city agency. It is a city agency overseen by the legislature. Cuomo may be the head guy in charge. However, there's so many pieces that fit into this puzzle to make it work. And I'm telling you, we are going to handle the MTA for the 156 people who are now dead. And sooner or later, they're going to release the death toll again of more of our members who have died, right? They do this on purpose. This is not really because it's for accountability. It affects our morale. It also gives us a nasty taste towards our union because they allowed us to succumb to this virus when we didn't have to this pandemic, right? So all of the things that are happening to us, and when they put this type of information out in the media without first coming to us privately to discuss these types of things, this is to work on your psyche, right? To weaken you, to make you feel helpless, like, wow, you know, it's more people that have died than I thought. You know, so I hope this live was very informative. I hope you guys are catching my energy and my vision and my fight. You know, listen, I keep telling you, if you want me to come anywhere, help me, help us, right? Invite me to your depot. If you want to host Meet the President events where I can come out with myself and the team. If you have a desire to run, I told you I want everybody who they've rejected. everybody who knows how to make this situation function, who has the answers. Come on and get involved. This is our union. I need you, right? And my team, we're flexible in such a way that if somebody emerges to be a better fit for the position, they don't mind moving aside. So that we have the best representation that we can have. And I know you guys are out there. I know you guys are out there. I know that you're listening. I need you guys to start to come forward. Make your union meetings. Make sure your dues are paid. Do what you have to do, because this is our year. This is the year of resurgence of the labor movement in New York City Transit and TW Local 100. We are taking back our local, and we're taking it back by force. Right? And the only way for this to happen is for us to come together. And somebody just put calling, this is from J. Will Holler. He said, calling all Tier 6 brothers and sisters. Exactly. I need Tier 6 to step to the forefront. Come on. I need you, Tier 6. Tier 6, step up. Your pension plan is on the line. We have to fight to get our pension overturned and restored. We need you to come on. Come on. The people who've been here and who are close to retirement, they are helping. But I need more of Tier 6 to get involved. This is your fight. This is your fight. Within the next 5 years, a lot of the people who are helping us get in position are going to be making their exit. Right? So what they have to give us, they're giving it to us. But now we have to be able to take it forward. This is our fight. This is our fight, and I need you guys to be in it, right? So I know you guys are inspired. I pray that you guys are praying for me. Please pray for me. Pray for the unification of our local. Remember, the 5 principles of our campaign is unification, organization, member education, effective action, and love and respect for one another. Those are the 5 pillars of our campaign, right? We have to be united. We have to be organized. We have to. It's imperative. And you have to have an education. You have to understand how your union functions. Think about how safe you all are going to be now that you understand the process of arbitration. That when you go into a hearing, your attorney is supposed to get in touch with you beforehand. That when you go, that they're supposed to put together a legal strategy to go before the arbitrator. That if you go into arbitration, there is supposed to be a hearing, meaning you're on trial. Witnesses are supposed to be presented. Facts and evidence is supposed to be presented. You need to know these things. You need to know these things. And the union has taken a position that they're not going to give you shop stewards. They're not going to educate you. They're not going to give you any level of more access to communication to communicate with them. They're not going to do it. They canceled the mass membership meeting. Anything that benefits them, they have done to us, right? You've had no communication from your president. None. No communication from your president besides his little interviews like he's some type of celebrity. His little interviews where he pop up here and there, does a little YouTube video, again, to destabilize us, to make it look like he's doing something, appearing all over the place with Sarah Feinberg. Come on. We're better than this. We have the ability to take it back, and we're going to do it. I have full confidence that I'm winning and that I'm taking this, right? The only way it won't happen is if you guys don't show up. If you don't demand that Lee Ireland, Paulie Navarro sit down and have a conversation and come together and we all bring it in, right? Joe Campbell as well. Bring it all in. Let's bring it in together. We know who the players are. Everybody needs to sit down and have a discussion on how we're going to move this ship forward. That's where it's going to make sense and be in the best interest of the members of TW Local 100. We have no time for division amongst us. No time. And again, I told you I already spoke to Tremel Thompson. I spoke to other people. We're still not 100% on the same page yet. However, I'm keeping hope alive that we can get things together, and we have to continue to fight for unified local and to bring all of our stuff together. We know who's prepared and we know who's not. We know who has the ability to take us into the future, and we know who does not. And you guys have the ability to make that decision. So I don't want to be too much longer, but I just wanted to put this out there. I want you guys to know that I'm serious about this thing. I am serious. I'm fully committed to what it is that I'm doing. As you see, I got off work this morning. It is now, 6:37 in the evening. I still have my uniform on. I have my campaign hat on. I ran home, did work with my daughter, came back to the office to work on some things, and now made this video for you guys, and now I have to go home and get ready to go to work, right? So I am fully committed. And you guys can call me, contact me, whatever it is. We're going to keep pushing. Remember, this Saturday again, from 12 to 2, we're back at Sugar Hill. We'll be there every Saturday until the election. And if we have to go past Saturdays, past the election, we're going to do whatever we have to do to keep our union strong. So thank you guys for everything. Javon, I spoke to him already. We'll see where this goes as we go into the future. I'm willing to have public conversations about things with people to resolve whatever the matters or the issues are or whatever to take us where we need to be. Nothing has happened so bad that we cannot sit down and come together and make it happen for this union. We need to be together. It's imperative that we're together. Us divided and all over the place is not going to help us at all. So we have to do something to bring us together, right? And so that's where I'm at with that. And you guys have a good evening. Guys have a good evening. Stay safe. Remember to keep me in prayer, right? The prayers of the righteous avails much. So if we're going to win, it's going to be because we have the highest moral position, that we're working on behalf of the people. Right? We're doing what is for the people. So we have to continue to push. And you guys keep praying. Keep believing. Hats off to Wilfredo Pacheco for all that he's doing to bring us together. He is working overtime to get us meetings and to unify us. It's important. We all have to do it together. If we're not together, we're not strong. Right? What's that old saying? United we stand, divided we fall. That is a true statement. We have to be unified and move as a unit. So you guys have a good evening, and I'll be back tomorrow because I have another video that I need to make, but I didn't want to cram everything together. I wanted you guys to get this about arbitrators, and now we're demanding that TW Local 100 ends its relationship with Howard Edelman based off of all of the men and women who have been unjustly terminated on his watch. So you guys have a great night. That's it. A house divided cannot stand. A house divided against itself cannot stand. You guys have a good evening.